Would you believe it? Mercedes-Benz would be absolutely perfect if it weren't for these 10 fatal flaws. Let's get into it now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with exoticcarplayplace. So the first fatal flaw of a Mercedes brand are the cars that are equipped with air ride suspension. Mercedes-Benz and their famous or infamous Airmatic system is great when it's functioning. Allows a smooth ride, isolating you from the rough conditions of the road. However, unfortunately, it has a high probability of failure, particularly when addressed in the S-Class of the W220 chassis. Now, this has a high probability of failing, whether it's through the air suspension bags leak, the air suspension relays, or just the air compressor itself fail. There's lots of different parts, lots of potential for leaks, and unfortunately, they get very expensive. If you're looking to replace a set of bags, you're talking about $500 a bag. How about a valve block? $200. How about the air compressor? $300. And if you want to get the certified Mercedes technician to work on your car, parts and labor, you're going to expect anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 to service your air system. Oil leaks are another major catastrophe that even though many cars have oil leaks, Mercedes-Benz can take it to the next level in many cases. Many Mercedes-Benz since 1995 had the electronic transmission. Transmissions, when leaking, you can't let that go. You can't neglect it because if it leaks, it's a hydraulic system internally, you will guaranteed to fry your transmission. If you fry your transmission, expect $5,000 to $10,000 to replace or repair that. Now, there are a lot of other different types of leaks. How about oil pan gaskets, transmission cooler lines, in the M272 or 273 engines, plastic expansion plugs on the back of the engine, or even the failure of the PCV system, oil separators, camshaft plugs, valve covers, oil filter housings, and the list goes on and on. Lots of potential for oil leaks throughout these engines. Whether it's a newer model or an older model of Benz, there's always a likeliness of some sort of an oil leak. Rear differential leaks is another big one. That really shouldn't be because many cars don't have the same problem. Unfortunately, they're quite prone to running into differential leaks, even more so in the E-Class and the Benz lineups with high mileage on them. Any of those vehicles can experience oil weepage from the differential. Now, that can be coming from axle seals or pinion seals, differential covers, you name it. And as well, with increased age, you can expect increased oil loss. Is it expensive to reseal a rear differential on a Mercedes? You bet it is. Anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 at your local Mercedes dealership to reseal your rear end. A high likeliness of misfires that are very expensive to replace and repair. While engine misfires can occur in any car, with the Mercedes, unfortunately, often it means expensive parts. Back in the day, I had an ML500. With the V8 engine, it actually had twin plugs, 2 plugs per cylinder. The coils weren't inexpensive either, and it became a very cost-ineffective vehicle just even for basic maintenance. Symptoms of engine misfires can be engine vibrations or shakes or shudders, reduced power, vibrations that reduce with the revs, stalling, CEL or check engine lights, and of course the smell of fuel because of the incomplete combustion that you're finding within that particular cylinder that's misfiring. Now, while the plugs themselves aren't overly expensive, for about $50 you can get a set of plugs. Unfortunately, it's the coils that start to get expensive. And at about $100 a piece times 8, you're dealing with $800 for coils, plus rounded up, call it $100 for plugs. As well as if you head on down to your favorite Mercedes dealer, you can expect to pay another $500 in labor to a grand total of $1,500 for plugs and coils and labor. They also have this new brake-by-wire system that is known to be a big problem, also sponsored by Bosch. And it has to do with the Sensortronic or the electric over hydraulic, or in other words, brake-by-wire. There's been over 680,000 cars recalled for a problem with the system, where application of the brake wouldn't yield proper braking and a vehicle would do more of a gradual slowdown and a stop versus an actual hard stop when needed. What this was a result of was likeliness of bubble formation within the pressure fluid, the oil, and this resulted in faults within the system and of course a reduced braking capability. Now, Bosch collaborated with Mercedes-Benz for an effort of $150 million to create this system, which was also equipped with numerous different chips and electronics which made the system work. Unfortunately, you can expect some of those systems to fail with time, and unfortunately, the Sensortronic isn't quite worked out. Suspension bushings, all kinds of problems there. Critical part of the quality ride, but they are known to fail and high probability of failing. Mercedes-Benz, along with many other luxury Euro brands, have the reputation of a smooth, luxurious ride. But when the suspension bushings start going, for example on ball joints and tie rods, control arms, sway bar links, you start getting driving issues, wobble, vague steering, clunking, squeaking, and just vehicles that don't track straight all the time. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these bushings start failing in between that 40 to 60,000 mile range, where you can start noticing some of these symptoms. Now, while some of these bushings are simple to replace, others are very expensive to replace. And as an example, looking on FCP Euro, you can find a control arm repair kit for $385 US. But that's fine. What about the installation? Let's also not forget many of the other bushings that you'll find, for example, on ball joints and tie rod ends, sway bars, a lot of other bushings. You total all that up and you can expect to pay thousands of dollars in your Mercedes dealership just to sort out some of the loose bushings that you'll find in the front end of these Mercedes-Benz cars. Have you seen the way some of these Mercedes-Benz actually rust? That's another major issue with a lot of Benzes. Catalytic converters, they burn out, plug off, or just outright fail. Often a problem after 60,000 miles, you can start seeing these catalytic converters plug off. You get a high differential pressure. You essentially get an O2 sensor fail or a CEL or a check engine light that will spit out because of it's clogging or it's reducing flow and it just doesn't run right. Symptoms can be engine misfires or just hesitations. Do you suppose this part's cheap? Not at all. Hell no. This part can cost you as much as $4,000 just for the part alone, and then plus installation. You can expect to pay $5,000, $6,000 all in to have your catalytic converter replaced. Now, there are certain models that have really bad transmissions as well. While many of the transmissions are very robust in the Mercedes world, particularly the 5-speed units that are found in many of the models throughout the lineups, it's often the ancillaries around the transmission that are problematic. For example, a 13-pin connector is known to be a problem on the valve body. Dries up, cracks, splits, pins come out, work their way loose, and it becomes a problem. Now, there can be oil leakage around that point as well, and that leaking oil then in turn spills across the wiring harnesses and connectors and just further exacerbates the problem, resulting in a malfunctioning transmission. And again, as I say, it's not usually the transmission, it's all the parts around it. Well, the thing we all take for granted is electrical and wiring. Should be pretty straightforward, right? Wrong. These have a lot of problems with electrical wiring overheating and melting. Many cars have a problem with melting wires, or they get fragile, they get break, they split, they short out, they cause fires, they cause problems, or just malfunctions. And this is just because of an underrating of the wiring. This is something we all take for granted, but unfortunately, cars that are typically driven in the southern United States or hotter climates are often seen issues with. Arizona, Texas, California, states like that, you'll see a higher prevalence of electrical failures. And don't forget to hit that video. It's going to give you some of the worst Mercedes-Benz of all time. Hope to see you guys in our next one. Catch you real soon. Bye-bye.